President Trump said Thursday he hopes the U.S. does not go to war with Iran amid concerns in Washington that his administration may be prepping for military action. I hope not, Trump said at the White House when asked about the prospects of an armed conflict with Tehran before his meeting with Swiss President Uli Moore, however you pronounce that name, whose country acts as the protecting power for the U.S. and Iran. The president's terse response comes amid heightened tensions between the U.S. and Iran that raise speculation about the possibility of war. Excuse me, I just ate. Trump on Tuesday denied a report that his team is crafting a plan to send 120,000 troops to the Middle East, but said he would absolutely send them if he must, underscoring the White House's mixed messages on the alleged threat. Lawmakers in both parties have grown frustrated with the White House's claims of a growing military threat posed by Iran in the Middle East and have urged Trump not to escalate tensions in the region while demanding to see the underlying intelligence fueling U.S. warnings. That's some little nonsense quote by, let me tell you something, anytime you see a politician that, saying something that seems boastful, and remember we had the quote from New Year's Day about it's going to be a year of grandstanding and mudslinging. This speaker says the responsibility in the Constitution is for Congress to declare war, which is why she remained completely silent, deaf, and without anything to say, while the former president, the one right before Trump, you know what I'm talking about, began an unconstitutional U.S. intervention in Yemen, among other countries. But again, they like to do this, so they can have fun with that and their little nonsense. Now, let's go back to this quote because, and, I like to oftentimes try to be objectionable and fair. And, I get criticized because a lot of Trump's fans don't like when anyone says anything bad about him at all. He's just supposed to, kiss his behind forever. You don't pull out of an agreement that makes it to where it's legally, or rather it's agreed upon by the Iranians to let you go and see their various, development on missiles, and then say you don't want a conflict with them, especially when it contains multiple other countries that had no problem staying in the agreement that suddenly became a problem for the U.S. when it changed political party holding national office. And, this is why we have no credibility. This is why these countries don't, when we sign agreements, they kind of laugh, with that underneath their smile, because they know that whichever party comes into power afterward, and unfortunately it's usually been the Republicans, will pull out after of the agreement, once they get the position to do so. I have had my multiple critiques of Obama. I've talked about that before. But when it came to honoring previous agreements, he did it. I can't think of a single agreement he pulled out of. Whether it was the INF treaty, the START treaty, there's plenty of them that I just, to his credit, have to say, he stayed in, and that was a smart move. Even as he bombed 7 countries, which is why none of these people have any actual. They're just empty suits doing stuff for defense contractors. This comment really is funny because I want to take it and because it's one of those things where Trump will say something and then the exact opposite will happen anyway. Kind of like when he said that he would have John Kelly as his chief of staff for the last 7 years of his tenure, and you saw it happen to him. So I'm very tempted to save this article, and then if we actually start this conflict, which we're probably going to get if Bolton continues to be National Security Advisor, or if they finally just start ignoring him and fire him, then it might not happen. But I'm tempted to just take this article, put it in a little safety place, and then pull it back out if we have this conflict. Because, these people like to give a lot of lip service to things. I hope we don't have a war as we pull out of a treaty that was designed to prevent a war. And look, his fans, they can get as mad as they want. This is the truth, that you can't get out of agreements whether you didn't like the person who signed it or not, just because, you have some stuff in your head that convinces you this is not in the interest of the U.S. Yeah, it's in the interest of the U.S. and Iran. That's the whole point of having a compromise, a negotiation. You can't. They just don't get it, man. They have a real refusal to believe that the rest of the world is meant to, that they don't get that we're very hypocritical. we're the same people who we have these liberals and various Republicans whining about Russian interference, but in our election, but then supporting a coup in Venezuela because the current leader is evil, and then they can't figure out that if a foreign government said, "Screw Trump, we're going to name Hillary as the president," people would be losing their minds. But when we do it, it's okay. So this is my point that, like, you know, if Iran pulled out of that agreement, we would say they want war. They don't want to come to the negotiating table. They don't want to play, you know, the game of peace and compromise. We would say that in a heartbeat. But then for some reason, whenever the U.S. does it, oh no, we were trying as best as we could to keep everything in check. It's like, no, you guys are destroying the U.S.'s international word, because who the hell, and again, ask yourself this objectionably. If you're the leader of Iran, uh, Venezuela, North Korea, whichever country you want to think about that, the U.S. has been targeting recently for various reasons, are you going to want to sign any damn agreement with them when they show themselves to rip up their agreements once a Republican comes in office? And it's always a Republican. Like, for whatever reason, with that party, they have a weird tendency to just say screw whatever was there before. Look at the INF Treaty. That got ripped up. Look at the Paris Agreement. That got ripped up. Iran deal got ripped up. Like, what is the point of signing anything with the U.S. if this one stupid party and its little dumb, sycophants are going to get in office and then pretend like, oh, well, we have so many great things in mind that no, there's no point in signing anything with you then, since you know everything, and you can now determine, what agreement works and doesn't, and the other side's opinion doesn't matter, even though it's a 50-50 trade, which is why you have an agreement to begin with. Then we shouldn't sign anything with you ever again. And you know what? I hope all these other countries, because I know they watch and they monitor stuff. I hope they get the message that the U.S. says one thing and then does the opposite. I don't want a war with Iran. That's why I'm going to pull out of the peace treaty. That makes a lot of sense. And then my supporters are going to go online and tell people they're stupid for, noting what I did. That's literally all that happens every time. So, the U.S. is going to hell. We're going to have more. We already have 7 wars with, what was it, Libya, Syria, Somalia, Yemen, Pakistan, Iraq, Afghanistan, and somewhere else that I'm forgetting at the moment. So we're going to have another conflict probably very soon, either with Iran or Venezuela. Hooray. More people will die and tax dollars will be wasted for defense contractor coins for our top high-ranking officials. What a great dream.